Hey there, if you've been watching my channel for any time at all, you probably know that I have an affinity for cheap electric guitars. In fact, I love them. And I'm going to give you 5 reasons why I love cheap electric guitars. Reason number 1, they're cheap. Reason number 2, all right, let's go back to number 1. I don't have quite 10 of these, but I've got several Strat is kind of my favorite configuration anyway, but I have several Squier Strats and a Squier Telly and an Epiphone Les Paul Jr. with soap bars. And I think that's about it. I may have a couple more that I'm not aware of. I've also picked up over time some what would have been cheap back in the day guitars. I have a Harmony Bobcat, which is vintage now, but back in the day it was a very cheap guitar. And also old Dan Electros. So those were cheap back in the day. And so that's, you know, it's just great because you can have a bunch of them. So, all right, reason number 2, they have a lo-fi quality that you rarely find in better instruments. One of the things I've noticed about really cheap Strats is the pickups sound, and it's like they sound like, I'm going to pull up this sound here. I've got kind of this compressed chorus delay, kind of Nile Rodgers 80s sound. Now I have a lot of compression on right now. I'm on the neck pickup, and I've got some gate on, but it's really, really quiet. You know, I'm surprised. Sometimes when you got distortion on these guitars, they get really buzzy. So sometimes you have to put them out of phase, but that almost always gets rid of the... Okay, that almost always gets rid of the buzz. But I do like that lo-fi quality. I used this is the first one I ever got, and I got it because I was playing at a session in the studio. They had one of these, and I picked it up and I started playing through my rig, and I was like, wait a minute, that's a great sound. That kind of reminds me of the 80s. And my Strat and my guitars, I have, you know, a couple Strats, Tellys, Les Pauls, things like that. You know, they're all really good, fine instruments, and they're fun to play, and they're beautiful, and they hold their value somewhat, but they're almost too refined at times, and the sound I'm looking for often is kind of this more old school low quality thing. And I use this guitar on ETA. I use it on ETA for Justin Bieber, and so this is the actual guitar you hear on that track. And like I said, I think I paid $79, maybe $89 for this. None of these guitars have I paid more than $100 for. Reason number 3 that I love cheap electrics is that you can fearlessly customize them. I mean, what do you care? I think I paid $60 for this Epiphone, and it's an Epiphone special. It's got 2 humbuckers, and when I say customize, you could totally customize the pickups. It's almost not worth it though to put better quality pickups in it or a better neck on it, because it's not going to ultimately be much better of a guitar. And part of what I like about it is the quality or the lack of quality in all those components. But you can do things like major artwork on a guitar. My daughter did this lovingly, and it's a cherished possession now, and it hangs on my wall like a piece of art. So you might not do this to a 59 reissue Les Paul that, you know, new old stock parts that cost you $8,500. But to a $60 Epiphone, heck yeah, you could totally do whatever you want to it. It makes a good showpiece when you're on stage or whatever too. You can have something that maybe makes a statement, and you can kind of be fearless with it on stage. Okay, so now another tip, reason number 4 I love cheap electrics is because you can restring them. Customs restring them easily. You know, if you're going to do some kind of weird string configuration on a nice guitar, you might be concerned about the tension on the neck, and the neck might get warped or backbowed or whatever. And on a $50, $60, $70 guitar, you won't care so much if that happens, and it's not even likely to happen that much. I've had this one strung high strung since the day I got it. And if you don't know what high strung is, it's basically the top or the bottom 4 strings are up an octave. So it's the kind of the lower set or the higher set of a 12 string. So it kind of has a 12 string quality. It's just got a really cool sound. So it's got a high strung sound. I've got another one that is this cheap Squier Telly is permanently tuned African style or African tuning. And you're probably wondering what the heck that is. Well, basically you put a skinny string like an E string on the D string and tune it up an octave. So if you were to capo at the 5th fret, the top 4 strings, you have a ukulele tuning. Well, it's what they used on Graceland, Paul Simon's Graceland. You can't get that sound on a regular tuned guitar. So it's kind of got that almost a high strung sound to it, but it's just one string you're changing. And the great thing is that, again, I'm not worried about any kind of tension issues on the neck or anything like that. And, it's pretty quiet. And not a bad tone. So I have other configurations, other string configurations. You probably didn't watch my cluster guitar video, but this is the cluster guitar. So this was another one, and really the thing I love about them is also it kind of opens your mind to being creative with what you're going to do with them. And in my case, it's almost always some kind of restringing configuration. You might come up with some really bizarre ways to mod it too. But basically what I did was, I think these are Ds. Yeah, so these are, I got it tuned, basically put 6 E strings on here, high E strings, and tune them down. In this case, they're tuned down to D. Sometimes they're tuned up to E. But I can do clusters that I couldn't normally do. That would be impossible on an electric guitar, on a normal guitar. I can also do like little scale kind of tetrachords. So I love it for that, okay? I've got more. Okay, so this one I have tuned with 3 low E strings on it. I may do one with all 6 low E strings, but it'd be kind of hard to play something on it, I think. But this one, just E's. Now it's a little noisy. When I mute, the gate's on so you don't really hear the buzz. So much fun with this thing, just on like video games, things like that. I love playing slide on it. I can drone. I call this my drone guitar. So I can do like the other nice thing too is because you have no strings below the 3rd string, you can bend the crud out of it. I can get all the way from the B to the E. And it's really easy to get seconds and, you know, minor seconds and major seconds. But these are just some of my tunings that I have for some of these guitars and some of the restringing that I do. So this is my way of customizing these guitars. You might do some kind of crazy pickup configuration. You might do stuff to the whammy bar. You might carve out the wood. There's all sorts of things you can do fearlessly to a cheap guitar because you're really not worried about it that much. And that brings me to my fifth point. My fifth reason why I love them is because they're cheap and you can have so many, you can leave it tuned like this. This would never happen if I had to go and take my Les Paul out and restring it with just 3 E strings. I would need it for something else soon enough and I'd have to put all the strings on. It's just too much work. This way, I don't have to do any work except for the first time. And then now this is permanently my drone guitar. And it will always be. And one thing I did on this one too was just out of curiosity was I put 3 different gauges on here. So I think it's 52, 54, and 56. So they're pretty heavy strings. And on the cleaner sounds, they do have a subtle nuance between them. So even that kind of stuff I love messing with. And if you go out of phase on this, it's not super... It doesn't buzz at all. So anyway, 5 reasons why I love cheap electric guitars. And I'm going to start to get into cheap acoustics soon. But I really like nice acoustics. So that's where I'm kind of different. You know, I have one permanently tuned to high strung, and that's my Theyre parlor guitar. That wasn't very expensive. So I do have a couple cheaper acoustic guitars, but yeah, I have an affinity towards nice acoustics. And I still have all the electrics I need for anything else, and I'm using those oftentimes in the studio too. But it's fun to have these around, especially in my studio where I can just have them all sitting out, and if I need one for a different game or a movie or a TV show or a song idea, I've got them right there, and it's very convenient and fast, and that's kind of my goal is to get to things quickly as I can. So God bless you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.